At other farms, we grow real steaks directly from cells we isolate from a cow.
How is that done?
And the idea relies on a natural process occurring inside the animal, same as inside our own human bodies, for regenerating tissues 24/7. Our tissues do regenerate based on some cells which are able to grow new tissue all the time. We isolate the same cells and reproduce outside of the animal optimal conditions from them to continue to grow and build muscle tissue, which is meat under controlled conditions.
So I understand that this might be not exactly meat, but it is not parva. It's meat in terms of halacha.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be meat. I mean, the idea is that it's going to have the same taste, it's going to have the same appearance, it's going to be meat, just not grown in the conventional way up to now, which is inside the animal, but inside the lab. So
tell us a bit about the halachic challenges regarding this revolutionary product.
Look, so the biggest question is really the source of the cells. What we're dealing with is stem cells, which are taken from a cow, and which then multiply and are grown in the lab. And obviously, the question is if the cells keep the same status of what they were in the animal when they're out the animal. So we're dealing with a living animal. There's a question here of not necessarily ever min achai, but basar min achai, flesh which comes from a living animal. So it would seem that you would have to, that the cow would have to be shechted first, and those cells could be taken, and those could be kosher meat.
But as we heard, one cow could feed many.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were to slaughter the cow first, you would get millions and billions of cells from that cow. You could feed the whole of Israel probably for a year.
How revolutionary is it? How could it change the world, these kind of developments?
We believe it can be a real revolution in society, in food, in culture, in ethics. Today, as you probably know, the amount of resources required to grow 1 kilogram of beef, which is the meat we're dealing with, is just insane. Between 10,000 and 15,000 liters of water are required to produce 1 single kilo. The amount of land, the amount of greenhouse gas emission associated with cattle is huge. So on one hand, we'd like to restore some balance in nature.
And this is big, and this will change a lot. You're in touch with leading rabbis.
Yeah, so yesterday at the conference, Rabbi Shavai spoke about this. We've been in touch with him, obviously working, trying to find a way forward for the company to make it kosher. And he's very supportive of this endeavor. He said this is the way forward, and he was very clear in his opinion that this is meat.
The cows will continue to live on Earth, will not replace completely cows. But the idea would be to reduce the amount of resources required to produce meat to feed the world. We should be 9 billion people in 2050, and we don't have today the resources to feed that amount of that population. On top of that, we believe that cultured meat can solve some issues of animal welfare. Many rabbis in the Jewish tradition are today concerned with the animal welfare issues of industrial and concentrated facilities for farming animals. And last but not least, we believe that we can drastically reduce the amount of antibiotics used to produce meat. As you know, today 700,000 people die every year from resistance to antibiotics, which is connected to the massive use of antibiotics in animal farming.
Tell us about the feeling. You know, you're involved in halacha, which is ancient, of course, in this field that is so revolutionary and new.
So it's incredible. I mean, we always say that Torah is a Torah Chaim. It's living, it's alive, it's got relevance for every realm of life and everything that we can think of. And as you say, even though it's ancient, there's nothing in the world that's beyond the realm of Torah and Halakha. And it's just amazing to see how these ancient principles from the Talmud get brought out into expression today in this modern technology.
So far, many people are waiting for products to reach the market and asking me where and when they can buy them. So I expect that there will be a relatively good drive in the market and good acceptance, wide acceptance worldwide.